was born and raised in Des Moines. My dad was a policeman. I moved to Indianola when I was about 10, lived on a farm and raised cows, chickens, horses, and all kinds of stuff.
So I grew up in a middle-class neighborhood in the western suburbs of Minneapolis in a little town called Excelsior. The old man was an executive vice president for Pillsbury, so I never hurt for a pair of shoes. And I said, Dad, I want a new bike. His response was, get a job. When I used the lawnmower to go make some money, I had to pay the old man a percentage. The old man was a real world kind of a guy. He was a drunk as well.
No, I had a great childhood. My parents, I had both my mother and father all the way through. They didn't divorce until I was 35, so my dad was a truck driver, my mom was a stay-at-home mom, and we moved around a lot, but it was all central Iowa. I was like a professional new kid for going to school, so I think that's why I developed the attitude I have now. It's a stranger's just a friend I haven't met yet.
My childhood was fun. I grew up in Sudan. I had a lot of family and my parents are married. We were just always playing around until the age of 9. That's when I came to the United States. The first place we landed to was in Virginia, and then we decided to move to Iowa. Since I was 14, that's when we moved to Des Moines. I'm 22 now.
My folks got divorced. I wanted to stay with my dad, even though my dad was a Des Moines PD. Every time I see one, it reminds me of my dad. Threw me in jail a couple times. When he died in '77, I just took a turn for the worse and left me some money, and I bought a Harley and grew my hair and pretty much blew all the inheritance. It all had to do with alcohol and drugs and rock and roll. I knew better, and I did it anyway.
My little sister died when I was 10. She was 3. She was born with cancer. My mom died 3 years later when I was 13. I went from a straight A student to damn near failing. The old man threw me out of the house when I was 15, and not one of my elder siblings came to my aid. So from the time I was 15 to the time I was 18, I hitchhiked around the country. I finally realized that I needed to get an education at the North Harris Community Technical College in Houston, Texas. I took my GED test. I scored in the top 1% of the nation for everybody who'd ever taken the test. They gave me a free ride scholarship for a semester, and it was great. The next semester I had to start paying for things because it was too much for me. I'd spent those 3 years hitchhiking around the country. I'd lost all of my study skills, so I decided to join the Army for the college money. The best thing the military gave me were my discharge papers. Got out of the Army, hitchhiked across Canada. I migrated to Minneapolis, where I met my ex-wife, got married. We were together 5, married 3. At this point in my life, I can take equal blame, but at that point, I wasn't willing to look at any of my negative shortcomings. It was all her fault.
I went to DMAC and got a 2-year accounting degree, worked in the office field for a while, went back to college at Simpson. I was married the first time, and when I got divorced, I didn't want to be divorced and tried to find anything I could to escape that feeling. That's what started my addiction. I didn't start using until I was 25 years old. Being an addict, I got a felony, and that kind of ended the accounting work.
I was living with my parents, and then at age 14, that's when I got into foster care. There was just problems going at home. It was just, I was getting physically abused. Around that time, I was in middle school, and I had a teacher. She was my favorite teacher. She was a math teacher. I talked to her about my situation. She was like, okay, well, I can be your foster mom. She was actually a foster mom to me and my sister, my older sister. All 4 of my sisters, they all went to foster home, and then they all went back home. I was the only one that didn't go back home. I didn't feel safe. After that, I was just homeless. I didn't know what I was doing, where I was going. I was just walking around.
But I always had this love of my life that grew up next to me. I always had my eye on her and that, but asked her if she'd marry me, and she said no, come back in 5 years, and married a gal 10 years older than me. Divorced about 5 years later, the same day, matter of fact. Come back, and I said, hey, will you marry me now? She said, yeah. I was on the road singing once in a while, but got back to Des Moines, and my wife is passing away. I don't know, I went downhill from then when my wife died. Somebody told me about Joppa a long time ago. needed direction, and Joppa helped me. They gave me a tent, gave me food, and they gave me love. That's the most important thing. And they made sure I was okay. But then I discovered that I had cancer of the mouth. I've had two surgeries on my mouth. I had 8 surgeries on my throat.
It's hard not to fall in love with this guy, you know? There are so many challenges that homeless people face. It's really, really hard to live outdoors, and Nick just really had so many additional obstacles that he overcame. He was grieving the death of his wife, and he was battling cancer. He was traveling to Iowa City to receive chemo and radiation, and he'd come back to a homeless camp.
When I woke up from camp, I had to come out with wet clothes and mosquito infested, cold, hungry. I couldn't put on clean clothes. Had no facilities, alcohol, just to try to kill the pain. And it was hard, and it's still hard.
In high school, I started studying electronics from 8th grade on to my high school years. So that's what I studied when I was in college. I was studying electronics and electrical theory. That's what made me become an electrician. I already knew the math, I knew the theory. Now I needed to learn the practice. So a guy was kind enough to give me a shot as being an apprentice, because I could do the numbers, I just needed to learn the job. And I found out after one day that I loved it. It was great. It was like, why didn't I do this when I was 15? I mean, really, it was something that clicked with me, and I'm damn good at it. After my divorce, and I started working as an electrician for like 5 years or so, I ended up hooking up with a recruiter, a headhunter. So for the next almost 17 years, I traveled the country working major project to major project. You're doing nothing but work. So I'd do nothing but save money. And then my contract would be up, I would get my bonus, and okay, let's go party for 6 months. And you live like a rock star, you go broke and end up needing a new job. I bought an RV and I spent an entire summer going from roller coaster park to roller coaster park. Oh, it was phenomenal. I hit 8 of the top 10 roller coasters in the United States.
I had quit cold turkey October 17th of 2017. So I was tired of the trap house that I had my wife in, and I decided that's it. Told her I was going down to the shelter. I wanted her to stay with some family until I could get us a place. After 3 months of that, she left me for someone who was still using. I can't stomach the fact that, you know, she could be out there alone and something could happen, and if I had $1 million, I'd give it all away to be the one that she wanted to be in the tent with. And I kept justifying the fact that, well, if I'm using, at least maybe I can still be in contact with the people that need help. I decided I didn't have to be using to do that.
I met Marty back in 2018 when he first started coming down to Joppa. I remember sitting down with him that first day that he came in and just being amazed at his drive and his passion for overcoming his obstacles.
Something that I feel that the homeless community really needs more than anything is I would sit down and just listen to other people talk, and sometimes they needed to get that out.
I didn't stay with her for that long. She just knew she couldn't handle me, so she just ended up calling the DHS worker on me, and they came and picked me up, and I went right back to the Yes shelter. I ran away right before my birthday, you know, right before I turned 18. That's when I aged out of foster care. But I didn't get to do the aftercare services and stuff because I ran away, you know. If I would have stayed, I would have got all the help and, you know, housing, you know, I would have had help with rent and all that stuff. And I regret that now. Because that would have been very helpful. I still think, you know, I got it good now. Even though me and my foster mom, everything didn't work out, she's still there to help me, so, you know.
She's never really gave up on you.
No, she has never, even when all the stuff that I've done or been through, she's still been there by my side, so. Yeah, that's when I was homeless for a while, and then that's when I came to the lighthouse. I wasn't following the rules, you know, I was still 18. They kicked me out. I was pregnant with my son. I went back to 612. They let me go back. I had to be on the waiting list, and then that's when I finally got in here. I came with a bad mindset.
all of the staff were kind of like, oh my gosh, what's Monty doing today? She's not coming to our meetings.
I had my son while I was here at the lighthouse. I had 3 tries, and unfortunately I didn't follow the rules, so I got kicked out. And then after I got kicked out, my son was taken away because I didn't have a stable housing or stable job or anything. So I became homeless again, and then I was just living with friends and just going from couch to couch. And then I believe I went back to 612. I got into some trouble. I got incarcerated. And that's when it made me realize, I had to stop. I had to stop doing what I was doing and just be a better person. And then when I got out, like maybe 2 or 3 months later, that's when I became pregnant with her.
You coming back and I saw your name. Someone was like, Monty's next on the wait list. Like from a couple years ago that did nothing. And they were like, yeah, no, like that's not Monty anymore. And I was like, really?
The hardest part was when my wife passed away. I lost my best friend. We were married 30 years. She didn't know I had cancer. It didn't do me no good to lay there and drink. If I want to survive, if I want to get out of this situation, I got to put one foot in front of the other and make my appointments, suit up and show up, no matter if they're wet. And then go to Iowa City, stayed up there 3 months. They called every day to make sure I was okay. And all of a sudden one Wednesday hit me, and that chemo, I was so sick when I got out, gonna get out of the hospital and I have nowhere to go. Well, I went to CISS, but they said you're too sick to stay here, so I went to the Catholic Worker House for a few months till I get well enough to get on my feet. I went from 165 pounds down to 107.
He had a feeding tube, and he had to endure all of the elements that homeless people face in addition to all of those things.
And I looked in the mirror and I says, you had a choice. You want to still be an alcoholic on the pity pot because your wife died, or do something about it. After the Catholic Worker House, Anna accepted me. They had to carry me up. I opened the door and dropped the furnish the whole thing, and I kind of went down on my knees like, this is mine.
I actually was there when we brought the furniture to his apartment, and it was emotional. Not too long after he got moved into his apartment, he had asked me what my favorite cake was, and so I told him, not thinking anything of it, and the next day I had a German chocolate cake with coconut pecan icing on my desk.
Radiation killed all my taste buds, so I test all my pies and my cakes and stuff out on everybody else. But I make sure they sign a waiver if something happens.
From the time I was 15 to the time I was 18 hitchhiking around the country, I wouldn't call myself homeless after I got out of the Army because I was hitchhiking around the country again. But essentially I was homeless. After leaving the oil field in North Dakota, big old wad of cash in my hand, and that's what ended making me homeless because I went broke. Instead of doing what I knew I needed to do, I was too damn proud to take some, in my mind at that moment, a less than technical position. I felt that the job was beneath me, when in actuality it would have been a fairly decent job and I never would have ended up homeless. My pride made me homeless.
It's been so long since he came in. I'm trying to even remember kind of the first time we met.
Yeah,
I think you
could, shelter.
And all the veterans kind of got brought to me at that time, and so found out that Dave was eligible for the GPD program, so got him upstairs.
That program is phenomenal. Mm-hmm. It is truly a Hilton. Hard time that I had when I got here, you saved my ass, but I got to be totally honest with you, it was my own ass stupidity that got me there. I'm strong enough that I can do this on my own. I can pull my ass out of the gutter and get my life back together again. It's the people that can't pull their life together. We really need to help them.
And I think that's where we become their safety net then. And one of the things that I really feel like a lot of pride about with our staff and with most of the people who work at the shelter is how we're kind of the support network for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. We care about you guys, and that you can always come to us if you have a problem. And I think that's something that we do really well.
About 4 years ago, I felt a strong pull to serve my country somehow, and I have a deep respect for anyone who puts their life on the line for our country. I wanted to be in law enforcement since I was a little kid, and of course I took the wrong path. Tried to do something in the community that I was in to maybe make it a little better. To someone on our road, and I took her to my place, and my wife was there at the time. She went to sleep, and she slept for a good 16, 17 hours, and felt really good about that. And she got up and wanted to know if I would give her any drugs, and I said, there will be no drugs here for you ever. She didn't want to be there anymore once I told her that. And I think that right then is when I knew that I hated methamphetamine. I hated drugs. I'm doing everything I can now to stop and talk to people and distract their mind, including my own. Anything I can do to kind of get them thinking about anything else, you know.
I got a job. I signed up for school. Everything was going good. And then that's when Ashley came up to me and she was like, you're gonna be a part of my program. And I'm like, what is that? She's like, it's rapid rehousing, you get to be in your own place, and then we help you pay your rent.
The first time she came in this program, she did nothing. But this time around, it's literally a whole different Monty.
And I was just so happy like that actually happened, because I needed that kind of help. So now I have my own place. I've had it for at least, I want to say 5 months, and I've been doing really good.
When Monty found out that she was going to be in the rapid rehousing program, she was so excited. I remember we haven't even signed a lease for her apartment and stuff, and she was packing up boxes and everything. And her foster mom was bringing over, extra boxes for Monty to pack, and was just always helpful and helping her move stuff. And
yeah, there's this free store. I just got a chance, to pick out my own furniture. So yeah, my place is really nice and I love it. I feel like it's more freedom, and privacy. I love my privacy. I feel like I could just walk around and with nobody there, nobody telling me what to do.
I see Monty probably a weekly basis, I would say.
She's just so helpful, because if I got a problem, she'll always help me out.
We do go over kind of a monthly budget for her and go over, okay, this is how much money you really have and this is how much money you're really spending. And we're able to build up her credit, because she has, a Mid-American account in her name.
We got a little saving. I got money saved up a little bit.
So, and she pays her own utility bills on her own every month.
Yep, that's correct.
I think you're kind of learning that.
Yeah. Yeah, sometimes it's going up and I'm just like, oh my gosh, what's going on? And so I gotta realize I need to turn down the air.
We do help her. I do help her with supplies and toilet paper and stuff, but the end goal is to, when we're working on our budget, to budget that in with her rent and her utility bill and her cell phone bill and everything like that, so that when she is on her own, when I start to fizzle out, that she'll be self-sufficient and stable on her own, to where she doesn't have to ask for my help.
I've been in housing for about 2 years, thanks to JAPA, CISS, Primary Care, Anawim, and I'm still with Anawim, but I want to move on from Anawim. Let somebody else take over where they might need it more than I do when I'm on my feet, where I can get on my own to build my own house, do whatever.
He would never complain. He's just always one to be positive and think of others and talk about how others needed things more than him.
Nothing but hell that I went through, and I'm not going to go do it again. I got a beautiful daughter and 3 beautiful granddaughters. I missed her for 2 years because of my drinking. Till I looked in the mirror and said, hey, do you really want to stay this way or get back to the way it used to be? But thanks to JAPA, we talk every day and text.
He is an amazing craftsman. He does tile work. Even going through all of the health challenges that he's had, he is down on his hands and knees and he's laying tile, and he does beautiful work.
I love it though. Done tile work for 47 years. When a doctor or somebody tells you that you only got so long to live, that's a gamble with your life. Don't believe them. I mean, just do it. Get up and do it. and when he's ready, he'll take you.
You work hard, you put money in the bank, you have a goal, you think things are going to go good, and then the bowling alley burns down.
You had the worst luck, I think,
Absolutely.
out of everyone.
And I turned the TV on to see the news, and my job going up in flames.
Plaza Lanes burned down. We were even looking at apartments
Yeah,
at that point. He's like, I'm going, and then that happens, and boom. You're working construction, you got hurt.
I was working at a demolition company, and I became their shop manager. Next thing you know, my back goes out, and I'm on my back for 4 months. That job goes by the wayside. Yeah, they put a stint in my heart. No, I mean, I was this close to a heart attack, and that was another thing that dropped me out for a few weeks. But with the help of Jan and the VA program, I was able to persevere and survive. After close to 40 years in construction trades, it was just too much. So that's why I ended up at Goodwill.
I think we talked to Shalane at the VA finally. She does kind of their employment stuff over there,
Right.
and she got you connected with Goodwill.
With Goodwill.
I think at first, yes, you were very anti.
Oh.
I'm not gonna work there. I don't want to work there. That's below my skill level.
Yes, it's below my skill set. It's below my capabilities, but it's a job. I had this image of Goodwill, and it was used clothes and ratty shoes. It's the scope of what Goodwill does across the entire planet. They take these unemployable people and employ them. People that, for the most part, couldn't get a job anywhere else, and give these people a purpose. I've learned so much patience working there, and a lot of that is thanks to you. I was complaining about some of the idiosyncrasies of the clientele, and you told me we're all broken. And nobody ever put it to me that way. Some people are broken far worse than others. And so I think working at Goodwill has made me a better person. It's not just a platitude. I truly believe I became a better person because I worked there. Here again, another malfeasance in my life. For the last 2.5 months, I haven't worked because of my shoulder, but they held my job. They kept my job. And in a year or so, maybe 2 years, when the chief engineer retires, I'm the next guy in line for his job, which is what I want in the first place. I can't say enough good about Goodwill.
I was really lucky, and I got the grant for a 6-month program.
When we told him that he was nominated for this award, he was instantly in tears, and he just continues to say he doesn't deserve it, and that's exactly why he does deserve it, because he has overcome so many things, so many challenges. About a month ago, he and I had a conversation, and he was ready to throw in the towel and go back to the camps and give it all up because he just felt defeated. He took the steps that he needed to take, and he still remains in housing, and now he's working, and he's here at Joppa volunteering all the time.
And I did start working, but the job itself is what I needed, because just the working and going to work and that first paycheck I received, it was really rewarding,
Yeah.
It really was. I have that paycheck stub on my wall next to my Des Moines Police Department patch and my American flag and my baptism certificate, and that alone is my ego wall.
Yeah.
I should never have been in the spot where I needed that hand up, because I'd rather be the one giving it than receiving it, and I'll be damned if I'm going to need it again. The next time, it's going to be a hand to somebody else that I'm going to give.
I would not risk anything to be away from her, I feel like, she just, ever since I had her, I've just been so happy, and she just keeps me going. And so, I'm so blessed to have her. So yeah, I'm going to continue to do what I'm doing, continue to keep a good job, and just continue to keep my housing and take care of my daughter. Well, I have a 23-year-old sister. I have an 18-year-old. I talk to them too sometimes, but I don't talk to my parents still. I haven't talked to my dad ever since I was 18, but my mom, I've talked to her recently. I'm still trying to communicate with her. I want her to be in my life because I miss her so much. I'm still in school. I go to DMAC, doing my high set class.
So she took it upon herself to go to her education coach and stay on top of that.
Yeah, so, and then,
what are you doing?
I think I know what she's doing. Not on me, girl.
No, look at her.
Oh my gosh.
She's like,
well, I want to finish school. Like, that's my main focus right now. After I get my high set, I really want to start my own business. Like, I want to have my own store or something, like clothing store. I want to do acting. I always wanted to be an actor, so that's probably it.
Bonnie knows how to act.
Yeah.
She's on a good show.
I don't know, maybe one day I do want to help, other kids that been through what I've been through and, let them know that, well, there's a lot of people out there that don't have that much support. So I feel like, if I tell them my story, what I've been through, some of them might listen, and want to do better for themselves. So I feel like, I could be a really good support to other people.
When you're in the moment, in the morning, all the sounds you hear, the wandering thoughts roaming, the thoughts unite and bring to life every time of you and I. It's all the same, a different game, a curse. When you're in your car and you're going 80, and every single song is driving you crazy, you'll be thinking, I wonder where she's been lately. And maybe that would have been the one to save me. When you're at a light, you get to thinking, all the sounds you hear, they're more than the radio station. The street is red, you're hot-headed, it could be worse. I found you where I left you, now it's rehearsed. When you're in your car, you driving feeling, and every single station was playing Bob Dylan. You'll be thinking, I wonder if she's been well, and maybe that would have been the one to give it